Hello and welcome to the Pederscope. I am your host, Steve Pederson. Good morning. It is Wildly Wonderful Wednesday. Woohoo! Oh, that looks like a W. Hey, it's Wildly Wonderful Wednesday. We're talking about keys to being the difference, are we not? This is episode number 78 entitled Encourage. Thanks for joining me. Did you know that the words encourage and entourage are only one letter different? Well, all this week on the Pederscope, we're talking about the keys to being the difference that directly involve our interactions with other people. So let today be the day that you encourage your entourage. Hey, how does that sound? All right, the family is leaving. They're driving to Wisconsin. You guys have a great time.
Bye.
Be encouraged. And here's a quote from Johann Wolfgang. Do you think I'm going to say Mozart? No. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, another famous German philosopher. He says, instruction does much, but encouragement, everything. What about Zig Ziglar? You guys have heard of Zig Ziglar, right? Very famous motivational speaker. He says, when you encourage others, you in the process are encouraged because you're making a commitment and a difference in that person's life. Encouragement really does make a difference. Wow, Zig Ziglar. He must have known about the Pederscope and keys to being the difference that he made up that quote for us. Here's a quote from me. Sometimes people are really hard to encourage. That's when they need it the most. I think we can all agree that encouraging others is a really great and noble act of selflessness and kindness. And I'm sure we'd all love to be known as people who are super encouraging. Because, after all, let's face it, being around people who only talk about themselves and or when they do talk, they tend to nag and find flaws. They're really kind of hard to be around, aren't they? It's difficult to be around people like that. And you might say they need some encouragement. The challenge is, though, if you're like me, you've got so much going on in your life that it's really easy to get tunnel vision and focus only on what's going on in your world, in your immediate periphery, or what you want to call it there. It's really hard to encourage others when you're not even thinking about them, or the joy they bring into the world, or the progress they're making, or the way that they serve you. Let's think about some people in our lives that need encouragement. Are there any children in your lives? Maybe you have children, or maybe you work with children, or you know some children. I know before I had children, it was hard to think about children. Now I think about them all the time. Children really need a lot of encouragement. What about students? Are you a teacher in any form or fashion? I know with me, boy, especially if you're working with challenging students in any way, it's really hard to remember, wow, I have an opportunity to encourage these students. What about siblings? Do you have any siblings? Do you have a brother or a sister or several? You have a great opportunity there to give some encouragement. What about parents? But your parents have done so much for you. You might have a really kind of, maybe a rough past with your parents. Should that stop you from encouraging them? What about your spouse or significant other? boy, sometimes it's really easy to take them for granted because you live with them and you just kind of assume they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And what about just encouraging them? Your neighbors. Boy, if you have a neighbor like me, if I'm your neighbor, it might be really hard to encourage me because of all the noise I make, and maybe I use your recycling bin or something. Find a way to encourage your neighbors. All right, so we got all kinds of people in our lives. What about coworkers? Do you have any coworkers who need encouragement? What about your boss? Have you ever thought about encouraging your boss? Maybe your boss, you feel like, it's really hard working for this person. Maybe try some encouragement. Encourage them about the great things that they do. Encourage them for, putting up with you. Make it a funny kind of thing. All right, so there's a lot of people, a lot of situations in our lives where we can encourage people. And, there's some people in our lives that might not seem like they need encouragement. Maybe there's people who always seem like they have it together. Maybe there's like some motivational speaker in your life, or maybe there's a musician in your life, or that you follow online or something, and you just think, they're just a well of giving great things. And we very rarely think those people need encouragement as well. And here's the last thing I will say. When it comes to social media, it's so easy to air out dirty laundry or spread negative things on social media. I always encourage people, whenever I find something positive online or on social media, I always encourage it. We want more of that. Encouragement is kind of a way of saying, I want more of that. Keep up the good work. So, there's some story, you probably heard this before, there's some kind of statistic that says something like, for every one challenge or correction that you give somebody, you need to give them 10 encouragements. We used to play this game with our kids where if one of them said anything negative or complaining about the other, we would then have them say 3 things that they loved about that person, and that always made the mood and the spirit much more helpful. So now we know from Zig Ziglar that encouragement is a huge key for being the difference because of what it does for both you and the other person. So both people involved, it's a great thing. So here's our action step for today, and it's simply to find somebody to encourage. Find a way to encourage. Somebody's encouraging me right now on Periscope with all the love. Thank you for all of the love. I appreciate that. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here on the Pederscope. It's been a great time today of encouragement. Hopefully for you, it has been for me. To check out all the previous Pederscopes, go to my website, stevepederson.com. Click on the Pederscopes link. And once again, I'm putting all of these thoughts together in a book called Keys to Being the Difference. Would love to give you a free downloadable copy of that when it's ready. So you can go to this website, bit.ly/Pederscope, and sign up to get your free copy of the book. Guys, thanks for joining me, and have a wildly wonderful Wednesday. And yes, we go out to Hogan's Heroes. Be a hero and encourage someone today.